We're going to continue our study of this book right here. And do you remember how they were talking between pages 3 and 4 with all these wonderful little questions? One of them that they brought up, Jesus went into the temple. He started turning over the tables of the money changers. Remember that? Well, they were kind of wondering what if any, was there any connection between that incident and what eventually got Jesus crucified? Was there any connection? If so, whatever it was. Well, this book will attempt to answer that. But anyway, the book goes into a discussion about page 12 about Jesus being a prophet. But in order to understand the significance of Jesus being a prophet, you have to first realize the role of a prophet. Now, all prophets in Israel were modeled after Moses. Okay? Moses was an intercessor. What he did was he mediated between God and man. Okay? He was the mediator between God and man. So any prophet that came up after him would be pretty much the same role, mediating between God and man. Also, the interpretation of what is known as the Torah, which is approximately the first 5 books of the Bible. Okay, so the first 5 books of the Bible pretty much comes from the Torah that the Israelites have. Okay, how was it to be interpreted? Well, that was the job of the prophet. The prophet would interpret the Torah for the people. And that was another one of his jobs. Now, what was going on in the times of Jesus? Well, in the times of Jesus, he was being presented with a problem that was similar to what was happening between Saul and then David and then Solomon and so on and so forth. What the prophet would do was say, okay, I'm speaking for the peasants. I'm not speaking for the kings. I'm speaking for the the prophets would actually go to the kings of Israel and say, hey, I'm speaking for the peasant people, which often outraged the kings. Now, it didn't outrage David and it didn't outrage Solomon. But the kings that followed thereafter, a lot of them were outraged when one of the prophets of Jesus would show up and say, hey, look, I'm going to speak for the peasants and I don't care what you have to say. And that created some rifts, I can tell you that. A lot of prophets were dealt with in a very brutal way because they were contradicting the kings of Israel. That wasn't good. But God had told the prophets to do just what they did. And there you go. Whew. Anyway, so when people were looking at Jesus, they were saying, okay, are you the kind of prophet that's going to go up to our leaders? Are you going to go to Herod Antipas and tell him to shove off, basically, because we peasants don't like him? And they had good reasons not to like Herod Antipas. And this could go on and on and on, and I'm not going to bore you with this, but they were kind of hoping that Jesus would do just like Jeremiah and walk up to the king and say, look, I'm going to speak on behalf of the peasants, and if you don't like it, that's tough, because I've been sent by God to do this. Yeah. I'm sure that went over very well. But that's what these Jewish peasants were hoping Jesus would do. And in some ways, that's exactly what he did. But it wasn't done the same way as the other prophets had done it. And so there you go. But as we go further into this book, I will tell you more and hopefully give you an idea of what you're dealing with. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for this evening. I will tell you more in a future video. Stay tuned.